Hello, here is the news of this hour from Tstv. I am Olaide Amosu. Here are some major headlines. 1,008 COVID-19 patients discharged. Federal government hands over National Theatre to CBN. And on the foreign scene, South Africa reinstates curfew, bans alcohol as coronavirus cases spike. And in the world of sports, Manchester City's two-year Champions League ban lifted by Court of Arbitration for Sports. Now the news in details. Governor Seyi Makinde announced Oyo State has discharged 1,008 coronavirus patients after receiving their second test results so far. The governor, who also doubles as the chairman of COVID-19 task force in his state, stated this in a series of tweets today. Meanwhile, 16 confirmed COVID-19 cases received their second negative test results and have been discharged, bringing the total number of discharged cases in Oyo State to 1,008. Also, the COVID-19 confirmation tests for 20 suspected cases came back positive. The cases are from Oluyole local government area with 5, Ido with 3, Egbeda with 3, Ibadan South East with 2, Ibadan North with 2, Lagelu, Ibadan Southwest, and Akinyele with 2 and 1 respectively. So the total number of confirmed cases in Oyo State today is 1,726, the governor tweeted. A leader of a notorious gang, Biola Ebila, who was on the wanted list of the Oyo State Police Command, has been killed in Ibadan after a reported gun duel between him and a rival gang. Until his death at Olomi area of Ibadan, the warlord was the leader of a dreaded 1 million boys, a violent gang that has caused orgy of violence in the state. Ebila had been declared wanted by the police over his alleged involvement in the killing of a leader of another notorious gang, Ikogbemi, some weeks ago. According to information gathered, the deceased was shot dead at Olomi area of Ibadan during a violent clash. While confirming his death, the Oyo State Police Public Relations Officer, SP Benga Fadeyi, told Van in a telephone interview that the corpse of the notorious gang, Ebila, was brought to the police in a tricycle on Sunday afternoon. The federal government and other stakeholders have selected a firm to build the Ibadan dry port, whose total cost is 43.24 billion naira. According to a statement by the head of public relations, Nigeria Shippers Council, NSC, Mrs. Rekia Zubairu, disclosed that the China Railway Construction Corporation Limited has emerged the preferred bidder for the construction of the 80,000 TEU capacity dry port on the basis of public-private partnership. Zubairu noted that the NSC would be the guarantor to the concession of the project. The project, which has now been relocated from Ibadan Iwo Road to Akinyele area of the capital city, is aimed at decongesting Lagos ports and the gridlocks in Apapa area of Lagos. According to her, the facility will be designated as port of destination where cargo would be consolidated for import and export, especially in the southwest Nigeria. The federal government has handed over the National Theatre and its surrounding lands to the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, for restoration, which aims at creating millions of jobs for youths in the country and diversifying the country's economy. According to the CBN, the country has the potential of earning $20 billion annually from the creative industry when the edifice is renovated into 4 pillars, namely information technology, music, film and fashion. This was disclosed yesterday at the handing over ceremony in Lagos, which has in attendance the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, Governor of CBN and Chairman Bankers Committee, Godwin Emefiele, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, among others. The Chairman, Bankers Committee, Godwin Emefiele, expressed gratitude to President Muhammadu Buhari for the handing over of the edifice constituting over 132,000 hectares of land, He said the National Theatre, Igomo, Lagos, which is being handed over today to the Bankers Committee, is expected to serve as the initial pilot for the Nigeria Creative Industries Center. Upon completion in another 18 months, this area would have transformed into Nigeria's Creative Industrial Center, which will be comparable to other world-class entertainment and convention centers in any part of the world. Moving on to the foreign scene, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa on Sunday reimposed a night curfew and suspended alcohol sales as coronavirus infections spiked and the health system risked being overwhelmed. Coronavirus infection numbers had in recent days skyrocketed, with at least 12,000 infections recorded daily, translating to around 500 infections every hour, severely straining healthcare resources. South Africa is the worst affected country on the continent, with 276,242 registered cases, including 4,079 deaths as of Sunday. Ramaphosa warned that the coronavirus storm South Africa faced was far fiercer and more destructive than any the country has known before, and that it is stretching resources and resolve to their limits. As we head towards the peak of infections, it is vital that we do not burden our clinics and hospitals with alcohol-related injuries that could have been avoided, Ramaphosa said in a televised address to the nation. Thousands in Bulgaria gathered for a fourth day on Sunday in Sofia and other cities to protest against corruption and demand the resignation of the conservative government. Over 3,000 protesters shouted "Mafia" and "Resign" outside the government headquarters in Sofia and marched to the parliament. The protests in the capital of Bulgaria were sparked by an unprecedented raid by heavily armed police and prosecutors on the presidential headquarters on last Thursday. President Rumen Radev's legal affairs and anti-corruption secretary and his security and defense advisor were detained for questioning, and their offices searched as part of two separate probes into influence peddling and disclosure of state secrets. Protesters also gathered in at least 10 other towns on Sunday as the searches on Thursday sparked public anger and brought thousands of demonstrators onto the streets of Sofia to condemn the raid as an attack by the government and the chief prosecutor against the socialist-backed Radev. The president is an outspoken critic of the cabinet of Prime Minister Boyko Borisov, accusing it of links with oligarchs. Borisov on Saturday refused to resign, but opponents launched an online petition aiming to gather as many as 1 million signatures to demand his ouster. In the world of sports, Manchester City will play in the Champions League next season after the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, overturned the club's 2-year ban from European football. Manchester City were handed the suspension by UEFA's club financial control body in February for serious breaches of club licensing and financial fair play regulations. The Premier League club vehemently denied any wrongdoing and appealed the decision at CAS last month after previously describing the UEFA disciplinary process as prejudicial. After hearing evidence over the course of 3 days in June, CAS has now overturned the suspension, meaning City are free to compete in the Champions League next season, having secured second place in the Premier League with a 5-0 win over Brighton on Saturday. Speaking after the match, City manager Pep Guardiola said he was confident the ban would be overturned and insisted his side deserved to play in European football's elite. Former Tottenham Hotspur striker Peter Crouch, working for BT Sport before the UEFA Champions League Group B match between Tottenham Hotspur and Crvena Zvezda, formerly Red Star Belgrade, at Tottenham Hotspur Club on October 22, 2019 in London, United Kingdom. Peter Crouch thinks Manchester United, Chelsea and Manchester City have the capabilities to challenge Liverpool for the Premier League title next season. After missing out to City by a point last season, European champions Liverpool have been dominant this term, securing the title with a record 7 games to spare. Chelsea have already signed Hakim Ziyech and Timo Werner for next season and could continue spending, while Manchester United look to have improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer over the last 6 months. With that, we've come to the end of the news. A recap of the headlines. 1,008 COVID-19 patients discharged. The federal government hands over national theatre to CBN. On the foreign scene, South Africa reinstates curfew, bans alcohol as coronavirus cases spike. And in the world of sports, Manchester City's 2-year Champions League ban lifted by Court of Arbitration for Sport. Please do not forget to always adhere to COVID-19 safety measures. The news was compiled by Mopola Badekale. I am Olaide Amosi. Good day and thank you for watching.